Kelsey Doom, welcome to the Vermillion Unplugged. Well, kind of, because right now I'm in Brookings.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Jose.
This is fantastic, and we were talking about this a few minutes before, because I did an episode with Jim Peterson, who's the CEO president of the Chamber of Vermillion, and then the idea was because this is different. Usually, I talk to people in Vermillion, and right now, someone's probably saying, "Hey, why are you in Brookings?" Well, the idea was like, "Hey, well, I always compare like Vermillion to Brookings, and I'm like, well, let's see if I can have someone from Brookings." And then I don't know anyone here. And I was like, well, I did Jim Peterson. Let me see if I could get the chamber from Brookings. So I contacted y'all. And the first thing I thought was like, they're going to say no. Why? They're probably, they hate us. But no, you contacted me and then you're like, yeah, sure. Get the calendar. And then yesterday I emailed just making sure. And then you're like, yeah, sure. Let's do this. I'm like, oh, snap. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's right now, it's June 19th. And we got the day off, so I took my family here. I'm excited. We drove almost 2 hours.
Yep. I met your little daughter. She's so beautiful.
Yeah, when you were over there and I was setting up, she's talking to everyone. She loves to talk.
She's a little social.
Yeah.
Social butterfly.
But let's get this going. So, Kelsey, what do you do?
Yeah. So my title is President and CEO of the Brookings Area Chamber of Commerce. One thing that's a little bit different between Brookings and Vermillion. Vermillion has their economic development chamber and tourism all in one office, and Jim is their CEO. We are all separated. So we have our economic development office is one organization. It's a 501c6. Visit Brookings is our CVB, and that is a 501c6. And then we're our own C6 as well.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So those are kind of the two different setups of how these kind of economic ecosystem partners can be structured. We actually used to be structured like Vermillion, but the entities were just growing and doing so much that it just made sense to split up.
So you guys are growing.
Yeah.
And then same thing, we were talking about this a little bit before. And because I always talk to people about Vermillion, and it's hard to make the comparison because if people don't know, last year, it was around this time, it was the first time I went to Brookings because I'm from, and people, they always hear me say, and they're probably annoyed, I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. Yep. And when we came to Vermillion in 2000, it was during that COVID stuff. Small town.
Yep.
It was a little adjustment, but we liked the small town. And I was like, I guess this is how it is. We went to Yankton, and it was a little bit bigger, Sioux City. And then Sioux Falls is like a bigger place. And then we always hear about Brookings, especially with the rivalry with, USD, the Jackrabbits. So we're like, well, I said, let's hit a Brookings. I always hear about it. And then I thought, because I heard it's a university town, I heard it was similar. So I was like, oh, it's probably a little bit bigger. They had double the population. And then we drove here and I was like, whoa, this is way larger than I thought. And then we were driving past, I don't know where. I saw you guys have an Arby's. I saw you guys, I think there's like an indoor water park.
Yep.
Walmart is huge, and then the downtown, and then SDSU is way bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
And there's like the museums, and then I think we came here on a Saturday. There was a farmer's market.
Yeah.
It was larger on Saturdays. I'm like, whoa, this place is huge.
There's a ton going on.
Yeah. Has it always been like that? So
I've been here for 5 years. And from what I understand, it's been growing every year over year, right? We're gunning for number 3 population in the state. Aberdeen's number 3 right now, and we're getting there. We're close. So, yeah, I think we talked a little bit about this, but from what I've been told by when I talked to both Vermillion and Brookings leadership, is the difference between the two communities. When Brookings was created, or when Brookings was in its origin, SDSU was already here. But Brookings invested a lot in the industry that they have, so they kind of diversified a little bit more, and so that's just exponentially grown over the years. And I think that's a big credit to our forefathers, right? Who created all of the economy that we have and creates for the people in the community that are able to contribute to to different things like the Children's Museum. There's so much philanthropy in Brookings. There's, Children's Museum was created by a private individual who put up the money because he wanted a children's museum in our state. So yeah, there's a ton going on.
And then another thing is, so I promise the people this isn't a video or episode. We're not gonna bash on Vermillion or
compare.
Yeah, just the comparisons. Because for me, it's especially because I have a way outside view from a metroplex.
Right.
It just surprises me. Because how Vermillion has they got the only, I think it's like the only med school. They got I think it is law school, and I don't know if it's the only business school or something like that.
I don't know, actually. We have the economics. I don't think that's the same thing. Okay. I don't know enough about it to say yes or no.
But the med school and then the law school.
Yep.
And then you guys are really big into ag and engineering.
Yep.
And
and nursing.
That's okay. I did not know that part.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, because I was like, well, shouldn't they be a little more similar? But Vermillion's it's way smaller. It's either way smaller or you guys are way bigger than.
What's the population of the university?
So,
or the enrollment?
The enrollment, I think it's if I remember right, it could be 8,000. Okay. I think. And I've seen the numbers. So the population, well, let's say right now, it's like almost of Vermillion, it's 12,000.
Okay.
But when summer hits, it cuts everything in half.
Yep.
So there's like 6,000 people. And I thought it was opposite. I thought in total year round, I thought it was 12,000. And then when students come, there's the extra 6.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know that. But with y'all, what happens during the summer?
Yeah. So we have, I think our population's in the mid 20s, lower 20s. And then we have, I believe, enrollments around 12,000. Yeah. And then in summertime, it obviously quiets down quite a bit. It's still, I'm from a small town of Wagner, South Dakota, 1,500 people. So it's still, when people say it's so slow in the summer, and I'm like, there's so much happening. There's so many people here. So yeah, it is a little bit slower in the summer.
Okay. Because our summers, and I talked to some of the business owners and some of the people in the restaurants. I've talked to them for a few years, and it slows down. I don't know how it is this summer. I feel like it's still slow because they'll say, I hear different things. They'll say it's slightly growing, and it is growing slightly, but those summers, man, they are pretty dead. And actually, I do like the summers because the students aren't there, and it's very calm, nice. And then we get to go to the pool, and then there's no big lines at Walmart, so it's there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the chamber. So what do you guys focus on?
So right now, actually, our biggest kind of strategic goal is around SDSU student retention, because workforce is such an issue. The number one thing we hear from businesses is workforce, lack of workforce. And it's interesting, when we talk to smaller businesses, it's not as big of an issue as it is for our larger businesses, which is understandable. They have more positions that they need to fill, but they typically will pay a lot more and have some different shifts. So it's an interesting paradigm here. And so our biggest initiative right now is student retention. So we have a committee that's called Connect Brookings. That's an evolution. Back in 2021, we had Connect 2140. That was our young professionals committee. We evolved that to be Connect Brookings, and it serves SDSU students, because when it was Connect 2140, SDSU students didn't seem to feel welcome to the young professional events because they weren't 21.
Oh.
And so we have focus on SDSU students, young professionals, and then we also just adopted our new resident welcome initiatives for the community. That used to be a BEDC effort. So yeah, we do things like our Work Ready Boot Camp. We have Downtown at Sundown is a huge thing for us in the summer. That's every Thursday. It's 5 Thursdays in August this year. And the last Thursday falls on the first week of classes. So that's SDSU night. And we have, 5,000 to 6,000 people downtown Brookings. Okay. Vendors, food, some great drinks, different vendor.
You said on Thursdays?
It's on Thursdays.
I think that's something we have. Thursday on the plots.
Yep.
Do you guys have I should come here on a Thursday then.
Come up here on Thursday.
Is it like multiple vendors? Is it just one vendor?
It's a ton of them. Yep. So it's a block and a half. Yeah, block and a half. One half block is all for kids stuff. So we're going to have like a little bike trail thingy where kids can ride strider bikes up and down little mini hills on the block. And the city parks department will have some different stuff. We have face painting. We bought a foam booth or a foam pit last year. So it makes like big bubbles and it's so much fun.
Oh, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And then there's the stage and then some for-profit vendors selling things. There's some nonprofit vendors, advertising programs and things. And then the other half of the block is food and drink.
Do you guys also have other events throughout the year? I know, so we do that Thursday on the Plus, and another event we have is Ribs Rods Rock and Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have like a fair or carnival or something like that?
So we also have Downtown Brookings as an organization in Brookings, which is, I don't know if Downtown Vermillion has their own kind of entity, but they put together a lot of different stuff. So they have our fall festival, which might be a little bit like that. They're going to try like a mini Oktoberfest type of thing this year. I'm really excited about that. They also have some different like sip and shops and things like that. The chamber's hosting a downtown watch party. So for, I believe it's, I don't even want to say what game it is because I can't remember who we're playing. It's an away game. And we get a 20-foot screen on a telehandler downtown and it's hanging. It's so cool. It'll be the first time we do it. We block off a block of downtown. We're going to have a bags tournament, music. The game will be playing. People can go in and out of bars to grab drinks and things. So we also do golf tournaments. I think every chamber does a golf tournament. We do 2 of them because we also serve the Volga community, which is just a couple miles west of us. So they're a town actually similar to my hometown. It's a couple thousand people, but they have a ton of industry over there and small businesses. So we do a golf tournament there. Our annual meeting used to be kind of a mixer. People would come, grab some food, listen to a speaker, or our annual report out, and then leave. Right, and that's pretty typical. It was easy to do. There was nothing wrong with it, but I've always wanted to do some sort of taste of Brookings type of thing with different foods and awarding the Golden Fork Award is what we call it. So we created that in, I think 2022 was our first year. And so we have 6 food vendors that apply to be the entree for the night, and they create small plates, and then people go around and try the different vendors, the different foods. And last year we added a Silver Spoon Award for dessert. So we give them a theme, they give them a food theme and they follow that. And then it's followed by a very short, nobody wants to sit and listen to a speaker for an hour, talk about what's going on, right? So we keep it very short as a 30-minute program, and then people are out of there by 7:30. So that's a fun one we do. We have, I could go on. We have our ag relations committee. They put on an ag banquet every late November, early December. They also give 5,000 to 10,000 in scholarships to students coming to SDSU. Our Women in Leadership Committee puts on 4 luncheons, 2 socials, and 1 half-day summit a year. So they're really active. Our Military Affairs Committee, we host our community's Veterans Day program. I know I'm missing a ton. We do ribbon cuttings 1 or 2 times a week. It seems like when there's good weather, we're really busy with those. So a ton of activity.
What about how big is homecoming for the university?
For universities, that's Hobo Day. We don't have a lot to do with that. We participate where we can, but the university has that, so it's a well-oiled machine. They have their Hobo Day committee and their Grand Poobah. Their Grand Poobah is actually one of our interns this summer. She's great. But yeah, that's just a fun week all around. We like to get the businesses engaged with Hobo Day. So we do, I think a couple of years ago, they started painting businesses. So a university group would kind of adopt a business and they would go paint the business's windows for Hobo Day week. And yeah, it's fun.
So now I'm starting to understand some of the differences with Brookings and Vermillion. And I think we talked about it a little bit before this, because Vermillion does rely on the university, but you guys not really. Like without the university, it seems like you could sustain, because you guys have, if I remember right, like Daktronics, and there's someone else I'm missing, a giant.
Larson, 3M is here, but they just changed their name to Solventum. Health system employs a ton. And yeah, it's definitely a mutually beneficial relationship. I think if the university wasn't here, Brookings would suffer. Brookings would not, I don't think it would continue to grow the way it is.
Okay.
So I think, Brookings needs SDSU and SDSU needs Brookings, right? It's kind of a mutually beneficial relationship. So, but yeah, we are growing. I don't think 2 national championships hurts anything. So, just saying.
I'm not pretty good at football. And you guys take it serious.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah,
it's fun to win.
Yeah, and then that's the one thing I need to go to. I haven't been to, so we go to the football games, but I didn't know that all the SDSU versus USD games they're always sold out.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, I guess
it's fun
thing. Was last year, who had the game?
Last year, I believe it was here. Yeah.
So over there might be in Vermillion.
Yeah, we won the year before. The year before we lost on a last second play.
Okay, I saw that on, that Hail Mary.
Yeah, we drove a charter bus with some people down and did our own little tailgate. We did 2 buses, actually, 2 charter buses. And man, those buses were quiet on the way home. We were not happy.
I should interview the coaches now.
Oh yeah. It's a really fun rivalry. I love it. I think it's nice, healthy rivalry. We also, I think our biggest rival is Fargo, right? University of North or NDSU. They're playing them in the national championship.
You guys have got a dome, right? Y'all's is open.
Yep, it's open.
So you guys play in the cold.
We play in the cold,
and the fans are in the cold, right?
Yep.
And then that's something that. And I swear, every episode I always talk about the weather in the Midwest, and I don't know how you guys do it, but it's
layers.
Like
layers.
Even right now, like you'll see me in a long sleeve, and I'm in a long sleeve like all summer long here. For me, it's cold. It's freezing.
Oh
like,
my goodness!
Once it hits like 60, you'll see me long sleeve
sweatshirts.
Yeah.
I was just in Vegas this weekend, and it was 105, and I love the warm. And we got back and came onto the jetway to walk back into the airport, and man, that humidity you forget how humid it is here when you go to someplace that dry.
Yeah, and dry, because that's what I've noticed too. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, and I was supposed to take Victoria to I think it was like a goalie soccer thing at 4. And I'm like, okay, let's go. It's supposed to be outside, and I got there to the high school, and there was like no one there, and I was like, they probably canceled it. And I remember a few years back, I think it was one of those hot. Like a week, it was just straight up high 90s, and they canceled it. They canceled everything, and I'm like,
because it was too hot.
Yeah, I was like, they're canceling this stuff. I remember playing sports when it was like 100 degrees, but I can't complain.
Yeah, so that's one thing. I got married last year and am blessed with 2 bonus daughters. They're awesome. They're in soccer, and going to soccer games. So if a tournament. We go to a tournament. We were in Yankton last year. I think it was, I don't even remember what time of year, maybe April. But the morning time, you're in like 2 blankets, your hoodie, your gloves, your hat, and then your noon game, you're in shorts and a t-shirt. So you have to pack for all elements. That's the one thing you go through so many outfits in one day.
Even though I complain about the winter, I really do. I enjoy the December because it feels like the holidays. And where I'm from, you don't really get that 4-season type. Here, you get a summer, the fall is great, the winter is kind of long, but it's great. It's a short spring, but it's nice, especially the snow. I remember that first time I saw like real snow. It was like fluffy and airy. And then I tell this. I remember I got out of work and. It snowed that day, but it wasn't snowing at night. And then I got out, and then there was a little bit of wind, and you could see like the snow dancing.
Yeah.
I was like, this is nice, and it's dark, but the moon shines, and it's like bluish. I'm like, this is nice.
Yeah, it's magical.
Yeah, that Christmas time.
As long as if it's going to be cold, I'd prefer it snowy because it's white and clean. I can't stand it so I'm a crazy plant lady. So my least favorite time of year is fall when all of my plants outside die. I hate that. I get mad. I get so mad. But yeah, if it's going to be cold, I'd rather it be snowing and nice and white. But
yeah, and then it's beautiful, and then January and February hit, and I'm like, whoa, okay,
yeah,
this is intense.
You get sick of it.
Yeah, but now, all right, we'll go back to this Brookings stuff. Now when I think this might be different than Vermillion, because with graduates. When they graduate, do most of them stay in town?
Yeah, so that's one thing we started tracking 3 years ago. We do a survey of SDSU students. We have between 400 and 500 students take it every year. So we're obviously not getting a sample of a huge, the entire university. But what we found back in 2022, we do this survey in April, right before graduation. And we found that I think it was 7.5% of students at SDSU planned to stay in Brookings after graduation, which is extremely low. Aberdeen, for example, I think they're in the 14-15%. So we did the survey last year and it increased a little bit. About 10% of students plan to stay. We did it this year. 14.5% of students would like and plan to stay in Brookings after graduation, which is huge. Seeing that number grow, and it really was. We weren't seeing students stay in Brookings, and we don't want all of the graduates to stay in Brookings, right? I mean, we couldn't do it. Plus, we want those SDSU graduates to go out and do great work and spread the word about the university and increase its stellar reputation, right? But we think there's more to be done to keep students here to help our workforce and to help fill those jobs to make our businesses more productive.
And then another thing, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard that some of the people that graduate from SDSU also open up businesses or startups. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a thing.
Yep. And there's a lot of people who will go work at Daktronics or one of those larger employers, and they promote entrepreneurism so much. Our community, I feel like, has a really nice culture around entrepreneurism. So I can think of three individuals, 4 individuals, 5. I can think of countless people who, Jaren Christensen just opened Be Still Boutique. She's from Arlington, graduated with a retail something or another degree, started her business as downtown Brookings. Wooden Legs is 2 SDSU graduates who work at Daktronics full time, but started Wooden Legs Brewery, and that's become huge. There's a gentleman that was at Daktronics. He's now at Banner. Started Hoagie Hot Sauce. Have you heard of Hoagie Hot Sauce?
Mm-mm.
Have you heard of the show Hot Ones?
Yeah.
So his hot sauce was on Hot Ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's starting to make that cool. A lot bigger. Yeah. So yeah, a ton of entrepreneurism.
Okay, that is so cool. One thing, so I work in a lab, so I work at the med school at USD, and I talk to all these professors and people in research, students, postdocs, and they're real smart. They're way smarter than me. They have all these like ideas, and then, well, I'm the guy. I'm like, hey, why don't you do it? Let's pursue it, or something. Like, I know a friend of mine, he's super smart. Yeah, he wants to cure aging. And I asked
cure aging.
Yeah, and he has an
needs
idea.
A test subject. I got some wrinkles I'd like to get rid of.
Yeah, I told him, I said, hey, do not me. I'm all good with it. But anyways, I asked these people, like, why don't you start something? Because a lot of these students, they like the community. They're involved in it. The only thing is, once they graduate, there's no jobs, like especially in the, like, let's say the biotech industry.
Yep. We run into that too.
Yeah. So, and I always wonder, I'm like, how come no one's ever want to start it? Oh, it's probably way harder than I think it is. But a lot of the issues that I've talked to people about is like, and one professor who took it serious, he said, it's a great idea, but he said, why would I do it? For example, he said, why in Vermillion? Why wouldn't I do it like in Omaha or Sioux Falls or even Brookings, because it's a little more larger? He said, why would I do it here? It's more risky. I'm like, dang, because I could see it, because you have all these graduates, especially at the med school doing research, and they want to continue that, but everything else is like in city.
Did you ask Jim that question?
I don't know if I did. I feel like I've talked to him about it.
Yeah.
I talked to him about those issues, like about Vermillion, like growing. And since he's great and he has all these ideas, but it's also more complicated, especially like land. You got some stuff with the land. There could be some issues with, like, for example, city, I think, ordinances, they don't this. And then there's some people that want it to grow, some people don't. So
that's tough.
Way complicated.
Yeah.
But that's why I see like Brookings, and I track this stuff too. And you guys are expanding, growing. There's a lot of businesses. There's a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying Vermillion is bad. It's just smaller.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different, but it would be cool, like, if you had more options, especially for work. People, they work at the university. Some of them, they enjoy it. Some are like, it's fine, but there's nothing else. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the university, and I think after that it might be like Walmart, Hy-Vee, and then like the little small business. But there's no like, oh my bad, no, there's Masaba. I forgot Masaba, but there's no like other big stuff like you guys got.
Yeah, like the Children's Museum is a huge draw.
Yeah,
And then when people come to the Children's Museum, they go get coffee or lunch or go shopping and things like that. So it definitely is it circulates.
yeah. But I think Jim, he's trying to, and the ideas he's told me they're great. So hopefully he's trying to implement that. Like especially, I'll give an example. That ribs rods. 2 years ago, me and my wife. This is a side thing too. So we make tacos. We make Mexican food. So we did that, and it was great. I thought it was a great thing. It was a great was it festival or something? And then last year we didn't do it because I told my parents. I was like, hey, you know what? You guys should come see the ribs rod. It's amazing. It's great. There's like a lot of vendors. They got music. There's It's amazing. You guys come. I hyped it up. And then last year they came, and it was way smaller than I thought. And there was like less vendors.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Was it a down year for it?
Yeah,
because I've been there a couple times. It's always been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun, except that even a lot of people. It was the first time a lot of people, because usually people don't complain too much, and they're like, "Hey, it's like
that's
less."
tough.
But I think this year they're getting more involved,
beef it up.
So I don't know if people should get more involved with the stuff, or is it?
Well, I wonder. I don't know the answer to this question, but if Vermillion has any sort of investment group or private money to match public funds or to do things like that. So we have what's called Vision Brookings, and it's its own separate entity, but it's kind of managed by the economic development. And so we just finished, I think it was campaign number 4. We raised $2.1 million. The last one we did was 4 or 5 years, and it was I think it was right around that same $2 million. But it sits there. And we disperse all of the funds throughout the campaign time frame, 4 or 5 years. But it sits there waiting for these game-changing initiatives in town. And so one of those game-changing initiatives they were part of is the interchange, the third interchange coming into Brookings. So if you are driving north on the interstate, you'll hit the 22nd Street interchange. That's the new one. And then you hit the 6th Street interchange and then the 14 bypass. So most people come off on the 6th Street, the middle one. So they just finished. We did the celebration for the 22nd Street interchange, 20th Street interchange. And the development around there has just blown up. So I don't know how much is public, so I won't say specific business names, but gas station, car wash, coffee shop, all this stuff is starting to be built down there where there's nothing. Same with up here on the 6th Street interchange, we have what's called the Marketplace. It's a plot of land that Brookings purchased from the Department of Transportation, 15 maybe years ago. And it was sitting. And I don't know if it was the interchange being built or just the increase in our population, but all of a sudden, Ryan Companies out of Minneapolis came and they have started to develop it. And so we're going to have an Aldi. We're going to have a couple smaller box stores. There's going to be they just bought 8 more acres for a big box store to come in. So it's going to be a huge new commercial development right off the interstate, that'll be great.
Is that the one so we were coming through here? Is that what they're building, or is that something else?
What exit did you take? The first, second, or third?
I think it's the first one. Right before that, there's something building over there.
Oh, so that's Solventum, which used to be 3M.
Oh, okay.
They're expanding. They announced their multi-million-dollar expansion. So they're expanding onto their facility there.
Oh, okay. So that's what it is.
Yep. So if you were to leave Brookings, go down 6th Street to the interstate, nothing's being done yet. They're not moving dirt, but there's a big empty plot of land on the opposite side of the interstate. That's where that will be.
Okay, I'll check that out. I know Jim, he's told me, actually we've seen it too. We got a Goodwill store that just came up, and then they're getting a tire shop. And then another thing's happening next to the Walmart. I don't know if it's another, I know we just got, was it a Family Dollar and a Dollar Tree together?
Yep.
So stuff is getting there. I know a lot of people, for some reason, everyone's all like, they want a Taco Bell.
Oh,
I don't. Everyone.
See, everybody here wants Target. That's the thing everybody keeps talking about. Is
You guys got a Target?
We don't have a Target. Yep, they haven't come here. From what I've been told, Watertown has a Target, and they're 45 minutes north. Sioux Falls has a Target; they're 45 minutes south. So we kind of overlap. But people are really hoping this big box store that I just talked about is a Target. I'll see.
And one thing that people, so you guys have a lot, way more food options, and that's something that the community of Vermillion wants. They want more food options. For me, for us, it's a little more strange because we don't go out to eat. We usually cook. But I understand, especially, hey, let's go out to eat somewhere. Usually it's downtown. I think they also opened up, there's another, like a Mexican, well, I don't know if it's like a Tex-Mex or California Mex restaurant opening up, but it's something that a lot of people, they're saying, please, we don't want more coffee shops.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know a lot of people, I'm like, hey, what would you like to open up? A lot of people are like, I want to open up my own coffee shop. But a lot of people are like, no, they don't want a coffee shop.
Yeah. Is the Indian restaurant still open in downtown?
No, that one closed. There used to be, there was an Indian restaurant next to the strip malls at Walmart.
Not that one. The one that's on Main Street.
No, unless that one, I heard about that. I
can't remember the name, but it's good.
It's like an Asian one, Silk Road.
Yeah, there it is.
So that one's still open.
Yep.
That one's open, and they opened up, it used to be a Red Steakhouse, and now it's called Cece's.
Oh.
It was I think I think I'm gonna do an interview with them in a few weeks. He used to, I don't know if it was catering like a cocktail party or a cocktail environment, but they have food now, or unless they always had food. And I went there the first time, and it was pretty good. And I don't know if I'm a foodie, but it was really, really good.
Yeah.
Like they had homemade hamburger buns and everything.
Oh, yum.
And then we went there for the second time, and I was like, maybe it was just a fluke. No, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And the inside is really nice. Like,
I've been in when it was red. I was there.
Okay, I don't know.
It was really nice.
If it's still the same. I didn't go to Reds, but right now it's really nice. It's a nice environment, nice food, and I don't know if the drinks are good because I don't drink, but
the drinks are good. I can tell you that.
Okay, the drinks are good. The downtown I guess, we just need more options.
Yeah, it's hard with, right now, with today's economy, interest rates the way they are, our disposable income is so much lower than it typically is. So it's great, and people are, even in Brookings, they want more restaurant options. I have a couple friends that are not happy with the selection of restaurants in Brookings. And I'm like, you guys, I disagree. I think we have tons of choices and lots of good food. But the thing is, you want restaurants, but then if you're only going to go out to eat once a month, right? Like I'm the same. We cook. I'm a pretty good cook. Like if I go out, I'm typically putting it up against mine, right? So we don't go out to eat often either. But a lot of that is because it's so much cheaper to eat at home. So I think it's hard to start a restaurant and be successful in today's economy, especially.
Yeah, that part is because they've asked us too when we were selling food. They're like, "Hey, you should open up a restaurant." I'm like, "I don't know. First of all, I like my job, so this is expensive. I even like checked it. Even running because we didn't even do food truck. It was just a stand. We go old school like in Mexico. It's just a stand.
Did you guys have it at that the ribs?
We did the ribs 2 years ago, and then we did a few Thursday on the plots, and then we were there on downtown every weekend. And then that 2 years ago, have you heard of a Flourish Flower Farm in Elk Point?
No.
Yeah, there's a flower farm, and it's nice. It's growing. They invited us those 2 years ago because they never had food. It was always, so you go there, you cut flowers.
You pick your own flowers?
Yeah, you pick your own flower. Yeah, Flourish Flower Farm. This is not a promotion, but yeah,
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, I think they're opening up in July 14th, but it's growing. There's flowers. Now they have vendors, especially when we did it. They got vendors. They'll have music. It's in the country. There's nothing. It's just them.
That would be
They
cool.
got it. Sometimes they'll do like free airplane rides because Chad, he flies airplanes and he'll give rides. It's a nice thing. But we did that, and then last year, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but we moved our stuff to, instead of doing Vermillion, we went to Elk Point or to that flower farm, and we did all our business there, and it was, I think, way better.
Was it?
Yeah, and I don't know, it's because in Vermillion, we were in downtown, and then it's kind of newish, and then the fluctuation's kind of weird, but in Elk Point, we're the only ones there. So, but it's a nice place. But at first, I'm like,
have you done an interview with them?
I asked Chad. I think think he didn't want to do it because he said he didn't want to be like in public.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna ask him
Chad,
again.
go for it.
Yeah,
Want to learn more, Chad?
I've asked Christy, so that's the wife who actually runs the flower farm, because Chad is he's a farmer.
Yeah.
And I think she's just been so busy.
Oh, yeah.
But no, yeah,
Get him in the
you should
off
check it out.
season. Get him in the off season when they're not as busy.
Yeah, but you should go check.
I will.
It's
I
a
love,
nice
like I
place.
said, I'm a crazy plant lady, so I would love to go.
Yeah, and then
cut
a
some
cool
flowers.
thing, because and we'll go back on the Brookings stuff, but with the flower farm, when I heard about it, I was like, well, what is it? Because my wife went there the first time with her friends. She said, yeah, you go there and then you pay to pick flowers. And then I saw them, they're all in articles and this and that. I'm like,
Wow.
but that's it? Just flowers? They're like, yeah. So I went there. I was like, you just pick flowers. But you can see all these like ladies taking pictures, doing this. And I'm like,
I'm sure it's beautiful.
yeah, it is nice. But I'm like, just for flowers. But then when we started selling there, I noticed something. So the ladies would go cut flowers and the guys would come and eat.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Do they sell beer?
No, but I think there's some people that want to do it. I talked with the brewery, and I think he would like to do it. And Chad asked, I remember talking with Chad about it, and he said he was thinking about, maybe it could be like wine or something, but he doesn't want it to be like too crazy.
Yeah.
Because it does get packed.
And is it at their home?
It's at not their house, but they have a farm, so it's probably at his work. But it's really
It's a little ways away from their house.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
cool.
a nice place. Yeah, check it out.
I will.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him. Hey, promotion.
Yeah.
All right, now going back to the Brookings stuff. Now I want to ask more about you. So why did you want to work for the chamber?
That's a great question. So I actually graduated from Colorado State University with a zoology degree. So I always wanted to go into exotic animal veterinary. So like a zoo, or actually I was in Thailand for a month in college and met this fascinating woman, and we just hit it off. And she's like, yeah, if you get your vet tech or your DVM, come on back and we'll give you a job. And I would live in Thailand, right? It sounded awesome. And obviously I plans changed. I decided I didn't want to be away from my family and go through 4 more years of school. So I moved home after graduation. Well, I got a job in Colorado for a little bit, moved home after that, and spent about 6 months to a year maybe hopping. I was a substitute teacher, hated that. God bless teachers. Thank you for all you do. I worked at an insurance office. They had me doing like data entry. I was awful at that. I don't have attention to detail that it takes for that. So also God bless my former boss who dealt with me there. He gave me the job. But they do real estate as well as insurance. And so he sent me to realtor school to become a realtor. And so in that, I sold homes in and around Wagner. It's obviously not a super lucrative job. So I was hoping to find, it was very part-time. So I was hoping to find something else, and realized in all of that, the housing shortage, not just in my hometown, but the state, the nation, it's tough for especially affordable housing. And so I learned about the Governor's Home project that the Yankton, the Yankton prison, they build these governor's homes, they're called. And at the same time, actually, Billy Sutton, he's from Burke, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Wagner, was working on this legislation called the Housing Opportunity Fund. It was grant money to put up housing. And so it was fun. I actually remember meeting him at the Boys and Girls Club and reading through a draft of the bill because he wanted to get rural economic development input on that. And so the grant came out, and I wanted to apply for funds to put up a housing development in Wagner. I had a great spot that I wanted it to be. I got kind of a purchase agreement in place for the land if I could get the grant. The grant required matching funds. And so I applied. I think I applied for like $250,000. And then I went around to the like 5 to 10 richest guys I knew in Wagner and said, hey, can you give me 25,000? Can you give me 50? Like, I don't know if you're going to get your money back, but I'm going to do this housing development. And they were all businessmen who knew the need for housing. We need housing to grow our community, right? And so they all signed on the dotted line that they would give me these funds. And I just realized how much I loved that part of real estate, was the development of it and making those deals and being part of those really important conversations to grow community and community development. And so the Economic Development Corporation in Wagner there was no paid staff. There had used to be, but there wasn't at the time. And so they hired me on as a part-time economic development coordinator. They couldn't quite afford a full-time person, which is what a lot of small towns in South Dakota face is lack of funding, right? So I was doing real estate and then economic development. And then the chamber in Wagner was very small. They met monthly. They also did not have any paid staff. And so the chamber, and it was called Wagner Area Growth, was the Economic Development Corporation, went together to put a salary package together to hire me on, so I had a full-time job, and realized just how much fun that was. I liked the chamber work a little more than economic development. So I did that for about 6 years. Bought a little, this is so fun. I bought a 500 square foot home for $20,000. It was awesome. And then my dad helped me renovate it. And I lived there in my little 500 square foot home with my awful cat, Lucy. Our real full name is Lucifer because you see these scars on my arms, and she's 7 now. So she's calming down a little bit, but she's still evil. And then I saw the opening here. I kind of got the itch to move, and saw the opening here, applied thinking kind of like you, they're never going to respond to me. Right. But ended up getting the job, and I've been here a little over 5 years, and yeah, it's great.
And do you enjoy it?
I do. Yeah. It's never the same. Every single day is different. Most of the time I'll look at my calendar for the next day and it's empty. And by noon I have people stopping in to saying, hey, can I stop in this afternoon chat? Or a member stopping in to talk about an idea or a project. We do a lot with the city, with economic development. There's just so many great ideas. And I feel like the chamber doesn't do it all, but when people come to us with ideas or hopes or projects, we don't know the answer, but we know who knows the answer. And so it's really fun to be able to connect people. And yeah.
Is there stuff that, I don't want to say that you hate about the job, but stuff that people don't know that are like, hey, this is kind of stressful or this? Because I'm pretty sure it's not like all, rainbows and roses all the time.
Right, yeah. It's nonprofit work. We don't get paid a ton, and we do a lot of work. I'm really lucky that my job is a lot of fun. Every once in a while the politics can get a little old of you can't do this because of this, because this individual will get upset, and it's like, come on. But I understand it. COVID was really hard. So I got here in 2019 in April, and 1 year later COVID hit. And that was the most difficult time I've had in my, is it 10 years now in economic development, because we had businesses that were hurting and a government wanting to keep people safe. And so they were shutting down businesses, and it just didn't feel right. Looking back, I'm sure, we got through it, but that was really tough to not be able to speak out and help and do more. And I could have gone either way on the way things landed. It was really hard. Oh, really hard.
Did you guys have to close everything too?
Yep. Brookings did. I think we were one of the only communities to shut down salons, restaurants, everything. They couldn't do anything. And we had, for example, there was a salon that started in like February of 20, and in March, that was in May when they shut down. She hadn't been in business long enough. And so she had all of these people that I think she hired 10 people on. So she was paying people, not being able to be open. I cannot believe she made it through. She's a rock star. She now has a location in, I think it's Watertown or Aberdeen. But yeah, so you just saw the resilience. But through that, we did do good in that. We had this program called the Gift Card Give Back. And what we got contributions from businesses that weren't as affected from COVID, or businesses that were able to get those PPP funds and had a little extra. Well, I guess that's not right. We had businesses that were able to contribute to this fund. And what we did was, so we ended up raising $120,000 from local businesses. And what we did was we we made a store on our website for all of the businesses that, most, I think they had to be certain industries. So restaurants, salons, gyms, things like that. And people could buy gift cards for half off. So then we would pay the restaurant or business or gym the amount of the gift card. So they had cash to be able to, pay their bills and things like that. So the gift cards were purchased half by the contributions from the business community, half from the individuals that were able to support those businesses. And so we gave out $240,000 to, I think there was maybe 25 to 40 businesses. And they were just so grateful for that. And that was just really cool to be able to call people up and be, hey, can I have $10,000? And they're like, absolutely, this is great. We want to keep those businesses open. We want them to be open after COVID. So that was a really fun initiative.
Okay. But now everything's back to normal, right?
I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, as normal as it's going to get, right? Like there's still, COVID definitely changed a lot as far as, there's a lot more remote work. There's a lot more, I feel like the expectations from the workforce are a little bit higher as it relates to safety, flexibility, things like that, which can be tough for businesses, especially when, it's a buyer's market as far as employees can go to a different place if they aren't happy with what they have. And so businesses have had to get creative, and they were able to during COVID. And so it's kind of given them the tools to see how it could be done.
Okay, that's great. Now, do you guys, or even just Brookings, do you guys work with Vermillion at all, or not really? Or
so, your guys' previous economic development, Nate Welch, is a good friend of mine. He and I did he gave me a lot of great advice when I first started. He had been in the industry a few years, and so I reached out, and when I was in Wagner, and just sometimes just to vent and sometimes to bounce ideas off of. So I worked closely with him when he was there. I have touched base with Jim a few times. We haven't had the opportunity to collaborate on anything. But when Nate was there, we did the tailgate. We would go down to Vermillion, and the chamber down there would host us, and it was just a really fun gathering. Other than that, there hasn't been a ton between the two, but we definitely bounce ideas off of one another. We have a Mid-American Chamber Executives retreat or conference that we go to, so it's fun to connect there. And legislative issues, if legislative issues come up, we'll touch base, see how our communities are feeling, if we need to take a stance or not, things like that. So,
all right, sweet. Now, I think because we're almost running out of time, since me and my family are here in Brookings, is there any places we should head to? I heard one thing that there's a restaurant, I think it's, if I'm saying it right, it's called Nick's
Burgers. Yep.
Yeah, we went there last year, and I was like, this place is very popular. And then I went inside, I'm like, huh, it's one of those old school.
It only sits like 20 people.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, let's order one. And then I ordered one, like, that's it? I'm like, well, then let me eat it. And it was really, really
you have to get 3 or 4 of those little burgers too.
I think we got 3.
Yeah,
I ate 3. So I was like, oh man, I gotta get another one.
They're so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I know after this we're heading back. But is there other places, restaurants or anywhere that
I've mentioned Children's Museum a few times. You can't go wrong with any of the restaurants in Brookings. You can go up and down Main Avenue. There's some great ones, but you can't go wrong. There's just walking up and down downtown is a lot of fun. We have McCrory Gardens there in full bloom. That's maybe a little bit like the flower venue you were talking about earlier, but you can't cut the flowers. But there's some amazing gardens to walk through if you like and enjoy that kind of thing. We have a really, really great website. Visit brookingsSD.com. I would head there. That's the CVB's website, and there's a ton of different itineraries. So if you're here for a few hours with a family, you can do this. If you're here for a weekend with your partner to have a romantic getaway, you can do this. We have a winery in Volga. We have the breweries around town. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. The root beer at Wooden Legs is awesome. I think they actually don't open until 3, so you might miss them, but yeah.
Okay, sweet. I'll check it out. Now, Ed, is there any last words or shout outs you want to give out?
No, I think thanks for having me. Thanks to everybody for supporting this young man. This is a really fun way to grow relationships and connections. And next time you see your chamber staff, give them a high five from me.
All right. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks, Jose.